It's Cat and Silly Kelly shooting the shit. This is New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve 2025. And this is Cat the Calicaster right in front of me. Silly Kelly. And we're gonna go back and forth. I'm gonna say some stuff. He's gonna say some stuff. Put it all together. That's what we're gonna do. So I'll start. Yeah, this is not really a comedy special of any kind, really. There's no guests or anything. This is where the Calicat show began in 2009. The room goes back to way back the beginning, really. It's Studio 2, L2, Studio 1. So all back to the Transformers series into that. Yeah, and it is going to be gone. Yeah, they finally are going to move the show and series somewhere else. So I said that last year, but no, it actually is going to happen this year, this next year. I mean, you could visit the site. It would be under some other. Yeah, why would you want to do that? We wouldn't be there. But yeah, YouTube hadn't been giving away where this was anyway. At any point, YouTube doesn't print up where you are. Yeah. So we made a lot of some of the Starship Location stuff we did downstairs in the other room. The other two sets, Queen P sets, and some of them in this other one. Some of them in here. Most of the 2023, 2024 stuff, 2025 stuff in here. Yeah, so it was officially in here for well over a year and a half. So, so the show was ending. And we had lots of directors doing our shows, lots of oddities. Not really directors. It was just Calicat. It's like commenting on it earlier, saying there was another fan guy that did something similar called Star Trek Spectre, where he was he filmed it like maybe 5-6 hours of his Star Trek Voyager fanfic, done with CGI characters, rudimentary CGI characters, and in game assets. And I came along and said, "Hold my beer. I'm not just going to do 5 or 6 hours. That's only one season. I'm going to go on and do, not only that, I'm going to do all Transformers Mush at the same time. And we're going to have a Transformers, and then we're going to alternate with Star Trek, Transformers, Star Trek alternate. Well, Transformers Mush, going to adapt those scripts, but also my own. And also other ideas that have been floating around for years. And yeah, and we did. We did dozens of them, and they're currently posting up a backup archive, even though we have an archive of the 30 of them so far. 30 of the Starship Locations original stories up there, including the third release of the Blessings Deferred one. That was the last one. That was the 30th one. So it was the last one. But there are 30 more. If you count the other ones from 2023, 2024, 2025, there's more, almost 30 more. I think it's just about 30 more. Yeah, if you count the various other stories and spin-offs we did, decided to adapt Canary Space Book 1 and just a tad of Book 2 as a 4-parter. We decided to adapt Space Vanguards but we had to change the name to Advanced Guard as well. Adapt that one, and followed by Space Time Eye, which we had to change the name there too to the Warp Core, and we did that one, and also the Legacy series and the other one. We did a Legacy series. We did a Chimera series, a Destination series. We set up the whole world, the world building for the whole thing. Another Star Trek. It said Legacy. That's a great name, Legacy of us. They didn't go for it. But really, as a resume of 20-some hour-long Transformers adventures. Some of them 2 hours, and now almost 50 of the Star Trek ones. You got another hour. Some of them 2 hours. About half of them are 2 hour ones. You have a vast library of sellable product out there. Well, it's not sellable, but because it's fan films. What I mean is you have I have a vast library of to say this is my stuff. This is what I've done. This is my work. Like folio, portfolio. Here's what I do with the fan films. Here's what this is. Can't take entirely all the credit for Trends Tech because All Transformers Mush, because we adapted stuff from All Transformers Mush for most of that, and those were adapted screenplays. So we adapted, filmed, so from other people. So most of those you can't, but the Star Trek ones absolutely you can. And then some of the later ones. We painted ourselves into a corner numerous times, but managed to get out. Now with the Transformer one, you had to use the primes, or demigod things to fix things. But in the Star Trek one, it had to be Q, or something like the Q. Come along and fix things. So we have these various things that are going on in 2025, and it's just been they ran out of it. It was not, the show was not canceled. Mark Card said essentially said you're going to postpone it and have it go somewhere else, different studio, so to speak, somewhere else. But on that one, it started somewhere else, and it's not cancellation. It's to move the location. So Starship Locations to another location. Well, we're never going to adapt on location at Pine Hill, so we adapted all the fictional adventure stuff, kind of, and the books, kind of, and we even adapted Planet of the Fallen Ones, which is not to be confused with the other Planet of the Fallen Ones. So this is the Ancient Aliens Reviews blog, Calavito blogs. We adapted those, the blogs. Was the only person that kind of objected to the adaptation, but only because he didn't want the trolls from his website harassing us because we didn't really know him. So he was like, you don't need to put my byline. You can put them in the Star Trek episodes, that's fine, because they're spoofs, they're not the same. But you don't want to put you don't need to put the byline in on the book on Amazon, because you'll get trolls from the other that you don't like. You don't want to do that. You don't need to do that. You can say inspired by, that's fine. Oh, okay. Only other, and a lot of that information got taken down years ago. Yeah, so the book's still up. The other All Transformers Mush had other characters that commented. Those comments are long gone. They used to have comments on the thing. Some of them commented. Usually they were positive. Usually the comments were I liked your adaptation of this guy. I liked the different spin on this guy. The first All Transformers Mush, the one with the Corrosion of War Without End, who adapted Rob Powers' books. I didn't know him, just adapted his book, his fan fiction stories, I should say, into a fan film. His only comments really were like, well, you did something different with the main characters. I picture them as the Technobots and Scattershot and going on their little adventure. And you made it cooler, actually. The Draconus Prime and the other guy. That's actually better than what I thought of, honestly. So it's like, okay. Yeah, I thought it was pretty wacky. Looking back on it, it was pretty good. Yeah, and had the idea that they reveal who they are. Of course, if you've watched the series, you can tell they're kind of GoBots, and that's kind of what they are. Yeah, so it's like there's all these connections all through that. And the Star Trek one does the same thing. Has all these connections all the way through that. Yeah, so it's been it's all the Star Trek one's even more interconnected with the various characters. The younger cast, the older cast show up. It's a legacy. It's a generations, kind of thing. We began the series of the whole Chimera spinoff from which started out of that 2019 movie which that took 13 years to make that 2019 movie. Similar to Starcrackers, which became Space Vanguards, which became this other one. Yeah, and that's where it went. So that's what we did. And once the 2020-2021 series started, the Starship Locations, Strange Worlds, we deliberately set it in 2401, 2402, which would be a few years after Picard, so we can make fun of the Picard show, even though the Picard show wasn't done yet. And it just so happens the Picard show did end in 2401, when they finally got around to ending it. And so we were following along, because, like, we used to say back in the day, even when we did the Pine Hill stuff, it's eerie. The Star Trek people are doing stuff that we literally did on the playground. And then later on, we're doing stuff we literally did in our RPG in college. And then on from there, and it was weird. We had uncanny moments in history about that kind of thing. Characters, aliens, space zombies, that kind of thing. Even the most mundane things. Mark's cards or John Yeager, Matt Brown. John Yeager, he's not here, but he commented that one of the most mundane things, Star Trek kept repeating this bizarre. He reaches into a backpack, pulls out an apple, and starts eating it, tossing it around before he eats it. It's in Starcrackers. It ended up in The Next Generation. Like, we literally filmed the Starcracker scene. It was on The Next Generation a week and a half later. Somebody did that. And then it ended up a gag with a tennis ball later on. And it ended up with a bunch of other things later on. It was so pervasive that 2 other Star Trek shows did something similar, including Deep Space Nine, with a baseball. Nobody bit the baseball, but somebody tossed it. It went further than that. And in the Star Trek 2009 J.J. Abrams movie, Captain Kirk reaches into a backpack, pulls out an apple, tosses it, and eats it on the bridge. Same scene. Now, we don't know J.J. Abrams. We don't know how that could have possibly happened. Was he watching that same Next Generation episode? Probably. But why that one mundane scene? It's like we're right on the same wavelength with these guys. We're right there, right the razor's edge. Right there. And it's eerie. And it's fun. So, yeah, then several other things. We could go on about a number of things that came out later. We adapted Starship Locations, get those old scripts from the Canary Space books. They're 65-hour-long episodes, basically. And I decided, let's just adapt to one of those. Just one of them. One of the books. Not the whole thing, just one of them. We'll adapt one of the books. We'll adapt the first book, which was like 8 or 9 episodes. We'll adapt that. We'll do that. And it turned into four episodes, 4 movie-length episodes. We adapted Space Vanguards, or Starcrackers is what it used to be called. We adapted that. We adapted the first book of that. A little bit into the second book, because we wanted to, there wasn't enough, so we had to fill in for 3 books. Something similar to Canary Space happened with Space-Time Eye, which became Warped Cores. And Space Vanguards, Advanced Guard. We had to change the name of Space Vanguard to Advanced Guard. Too many people used Space Vanguard, so we had to change it to Advanced Guard, which is just a executive producer Dan Brown way of saying Vanguards. They're just saying a different word. Same thing. All right, let's do that. Vanguard. All right. Advanced Guard. Vanguard. Same thing. That's what it is. Okay. Warped Core, the same thing. Okay, well, Space-Time Eye, we can't use that. There's a number of other books that are called that, so let's use Time Warp and Core, like a space core, like a training core, with a CORPS core. Warp Core. It's perfect. Star Trek Warp Core. Yeah. Sort of in between the Canary Space and the other one. Sort of the Pathfinder saga, kind of. Sort of, kind of. I'd say Destinations was more Pathfinder. That other series with Lantos in it. Destinations was Pathfinder. This was, we had all these little connections in there thrown in now. And in Destinations, we go to one of the Canary planets in the story. And this ship from out of time, space-time, goes to this planet. And we're like, oh, that's interesting. And that was during the writer's strike in 2023 that one was written. So we had this whole, you're writing a script during the writer's strike. How could you do that? You hack. Yeah, we got some negative publicity from that. It's like, no, I'm not SAG-AFTRA, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, I'm an independent writer, and I'm not in the biz. Yeah. And Mr. Story, the other whatever actor guy, he was not in SAG, but he was in AFTRA. He was in the other one. And he didn't have to worry. He wasn't writing for it. But yes, before they merged. See. But yeah, in the Screen Actors Guild, so the AFTRA, there were two different groups. It's an acronym. They're both acronyms. Screen Actors Guild and AFTRA, I think, is the Actors Federation, some or other. Federation Technologies and Arts or something. Anyways, so yeah, I'm going to pass this on to Silly Kelly, and we're going to hear from him for a second or two. An interesting and viable summary there of the whole thing. Yeah, we'll put this somewhere else to be even bigger and better. Yeah, we'll find something. Yeah. The consternation. Where's this gonna go from here? I mean, yeah, clearly you have to go somewhere else because of various sundries involving the. Well, nothing really. Nothing went bankrupt. There's no money, so it didn't go bankrupt. What happened is the taxes are too high over here, so that's all. Yeah. So yeah, that's all. Yeah. So nothing because there's no. We don't make any money. No profit. It's not a 503 technically. It's not even that. It's a guy in a studio doing fan films for fun, not getting paid, and it is weird that the Star Trek people, yeah, they have been. It's eerie. It's uncanny. You even addressed that when we did some episodes where we met up with the board and the Cillians and all that. And the premise of that whole thing was is quite amusing. That this and it's very self-deprecating in places and effacing as well. In some places, because you have. They're not saying they're the best and the brightest. They're saying that they were just used as sort of a gag to humiliate Picard and Kirk, which is actually funnier. Just so basically you have the premise of Starship Locations, because that's the main thing we're talking about. We certainly could do some transport. Certainly could do something else. Well, we still have the studio for at least a month and a half, so we're going to do something. I'm just not sure what. Could do Carta 2, because we did Carta in June. Really liked that movie. Probably do that first if we get to do something, but we don't have a script. I'm not just going to rush out, hammer together something made up on the spot. I want to have a script. I want Carta 2 to. And I don't want it to just become Power Rangers where they get all their cars together and they do stuff. Because that's not interesting. I want them to still be struggling. Because it's more interesting if they're struggling. That's sort of youth bot things. Of course, that new Star Trek Scout shows is kind of ripping that off a little bit. So yeah, they are taking our idea again. But in the Carta version, they're acting like young people, but they're really not. They're just reformatted robots, so they're not children playing. Yeah, they're not. They're not. They're just reformatted. So they have to go on a hero's journey. So the middle one, whatever that one is, I don't know. Yeah, so we'll be doing that. A script. So it's like Cowpoke's just not geeking out. He's off doing something. I think he got a movie deal or something. We'll see, a commercial or something. But anyways, a lot of legacy was done with referencing the elements of the Victoria Brown letters, the mom letters, and we got toward the end of this other show, ending Legacy episode 14, which we kind of didn't have a script. We just put together an outline and filmed it to finish up the zombie arc, because there was going to be it wasn't originally started out as a zombie arc, but it started out as a gay LARPing theater troupe was going to go and do wacky things to the crew, but then Strange New Worlds did their season which was very pervasive and controversial. And they were doing silly track stuff on the show, and we were like at the same time, and we were just like, oh, they're just gonna think we're ripping them off. We weren't, but we were just thinking literally on the same wavelength. It was scary. So I kept having to like episodes going like, okay, yeah, the Vulcan episode with the 4 Vulcans. Yeah, that was kind of dumb. We didn't like that. We liked the Patton Oswalt part. That was it. The reporter, the hack reporter one. We hated that one because we're hack reporters. Of course, we hate that one. We didn't like that one. We always were meaning to do a guide to the spaceships in Cillian space, various spaceships that have come along. And we're going to do that because we never got around to that. We never got around to finishing you'll see the blogs and things on the other channel where we're like, put up some of these ship designs that got dropped. It doesn't mean they're gone. It means they're dropped. It means it didn't go anywhere. So we're going to pick them up and finish essentially the CAD class, that online CAD class, and do the ships and make them look like just basic views. It's not 3D. It's just basic views, front and back and the side. Yeah, that kind of thing. That could be exciting. That could be what we're doing. To do that now, they look better. We have the models. The physical models were built. We built lots of models. 40 models, I think. They're all in these big boxes, totes. And we pulled them out, look at them, and do rundowns of each ship. Maybe that would help to create the models. That would also be cool, because the rundowns we did previously for the channel weren't very good. We didn't just show them all over and stuff. And I don't mean like just, here's film footage of the ships. I mean like a Trek Yard style rundown of each Cillian ship. And then also online there would be then this guide that would say, okay, this is the Chimera, and here's the hull numbers, and here's what it does. It don't necessarily need sizes, but they're on there too, I guess, because we don't really know exactly what their scaling was. Clearly, the Legacy, which was a large hero ship similar to the Chimera A and the Titan A, and the Emitil A. The Emitil A, clearly a larger ship. The scale and the scale chart was like, oh, that ship is actually huge, long, big ship, and the polygon problem we kept talking about. So that's because if you have a long ship that's stretched out, and you're going to put it sideways like this, you'd only see this part. When you turn it around sideways, it goes like that. Yeah, it's long. So it's big. It's a big, long ship. There was also some websites going on about Star Trek ships versus Star Wars ships, and we know a lot about that. So we're like, why didn't they ask us? But yes, example of that is there was a guy, Eckerd Latter, and then another guy who was complaining, put up which Star Trek ships would fight which Star Wars ships. And I kind of wanted to discuss this, so I'll just briefly go into it. Okay, the unfair fight with the various starships. I'll have to include starships from other media just to make it a fair fight. If I was going to do like a video on that. In a nutshell, this is a brief thing. It's not a whole video. It's just a brief thing. Okay, the Enterprise D would not fight the Star Destroyer from Star Wars. That would be totally unfair fight. The Star Destroyer is huge. It's almost a kilometer long. About a kilometer long. The big Star Destroyer. No. The Enterprise D is under a mile long. It's under a mile long. So they're not going to fight each other. That would be unfair. No. The Imperial Star Destroyer versus the Galactica. The original OG Galactica. That'd be about right. Or the Enterprise D versus the BSG 2002 Galactica. That would be a fair fight. It was a smaller ship. Yeah. The Enterprise D versus the Rebel escort ship. That would be a fair fight. They're roughly the same size. The Rebel ship that was being chased by the other ship. Even though the models themselves were the escort's larger than the Star Destroyer. When you see the actual Star Wars model, it's larger. But no, we'll just say that it's smaller. but yes, and the other one was the Death Star versus the Death Star versus the Borg cube or something. No, something like that. That wouldn't work either because the Death Star is in Star Wars is the size of a small moon, like 160,000, over 16K kilometers long. It's like it's a small moon. It's a moon. It's not a space station. It's a moon. Deep Space Nine versus a Borg cube. That would be fair. They're roughly the same size, 3 miles across. So that kind of thing. Yeah. Romulan Dideric's cruiser ship, which is a mile long, versus the Star Destroyer. That would be a fair fight. But also, you have the weaponry, which would, yeah. So anyway, yeah, Star Wars has a different aesthetic. It's more fantasy, and even though the Death Star can blow up a planet, it shouldn't be able to, but it does. So it's got like a Q-powered laser. It's just ridiculously powered, a space laser that blows up planets. So it's like a planet killer. So Planet Killer versus the Star Destroyer would make sense. No, Planet Killer versus the Death Star would make sense. So Death Star, Planet Killer. Yeah, that makes sense. And also, if the Next Generation Enterprise D did fight the Star Destroyer, I don't know what I'm going on about this. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. No, but if it fought a Star Destroyer, it'd fly circles around it. Fly circles around the Star Destroyer, and then it would lock on to its weapons array and shoot the phaser beams that it has all over the phaser arrays, and knock out all the weapons in like minutes. The Star Destroyer would be defenseless. Yeah, they just have superior tactical weapon armaments and ability to arm them on a Federation starship. And Romulans wouldn't even bother with that. They would just go fire the main gun, blow it up. The Romulans wouldn't screw around. They'd just be like, cannon fire. Photon torpedo into the bridge. There you go. Yes. Maybe the Scimitar versus the... There you go. The Scimitar versus the Star Destroyer. That would work. That's about right size. The Scimitar. Yeah. and no, the Star Destroyer wouldn't stand a chance against the Scimitar. It would obliterate it. The Star Destroyer would be destroyed. It's like, yeah, because the Star Wars ships are super lasers and super shields. Yeah, there's no contest. There's no contest. There is if it's the planet-killing one, though. Like granted, they do have an advantage, though. Star Wars does have fighter planes, and Star Trek doesn't really. So they have that. They can use those. Fly them around and pick at the other guy. But, yeah, there's my... But no, I mean Chimera ships, not Star Wars ships. I just thought I would rant about the Star Wars ships thing, because why not? The Star Trek. In 1992, Big Tim Cantrell and I did a couple role-playing game stories. And in one of them, we had the SDF-1 from Robotech versus the Enterprise D versus a Borg cube. And we had the Argo in there, too. We've got the Battleship Yamato in there. And they jacked each other up. Because, yeah, the Battleship Yamato, even though it's smaller than the Star Destroyer, would totally jack up a Star Destroyer. Yeah, even though it's smaller than it, it would punch holes in it with a wave motion gun. Because that gun is ridiculously overpowered. You might even use it in a scenario where you fly the Argo type ship into the super laser cannon of the Death Star and just do a kamikaze run, because that would be kind of messed up, but yes. But they survived this one, you see. They fire the wave motion gun into the super laser and blow the space station to pieces, because it totally would. Yes, they wouldn't actually kill themselves. No control alt deleting, but that came out offensive. Didn't mean to do that. They would blow up the ship and be gone. Yeah, so it's the Romulan ship or the Scimitar versus the destroyer makes sense. The Argo versus the battleship Yamato versus the Galactica would kind of make sense. Although it would be smaller than the Galactica. The SDF-3A from Chimera, from the Robotech would be larger scale. A lot of the ship models we did over here, a lot of them were called the Galinsky class for Canary Space and Vanguards, because in honor of Uncle Bill Galinsky. Bill Galinsky, because long ago, in Galaxy Far Away, he used to do these model boats and ships for like lake boats and stuff, put them in a museum. And I always wanted him to build a space aircraft carrier, because I thought that would be like Robotech. He didn't know what that was, so he never built one. So I built them. I learned how to build them, and I made them first out of balsa. But now they stopped using balsa too, so they're just light wood and now the newer ones. It's not balsa; it's basswood and something else. It's mainly basswood and poplar. Yeah, they're kind of hefty looking things. The coolest thing we built was the SDF-3A to scale with the other models. Just getting bigger and bigger. It was a studio model that we constructed, studio quality scale model. It's one of the biggest, and we built the bioship as well for the Sentinels thing in, I believe, 2022, 2023, 2023. The Robotech, our Sentinels fan film. Put this thing together. Dan was on set. Mark Cards was on the set during construction of the ship on several levels. Mom even approved of the production, the final ship. The day, what are you building up there? Here it is. I brought it downstairs. She said, "What is that?" It was a space aircraft. Oh, yes. Even though she was mentally not all there, she remembered things in the past. She's all, "Okay, Uncle Bill wanted you to build a space carrier, so you built one." You wanted to build that space carrier. Here it is. But later on, Uncle Bill passed away after Mom passed away. So, but there's a spacecraft carrier. There it is. She knew what it was. That's the spacecraft carrier. So it was. It doesn't transform, but it's made to resemble the SDF-3 from Robotech the Sentinels '87, but also slightly modernized. So it's like the slight refit after the ended wars. So it's in between somewhere. It has Caribbean features and all that with the bear aliens. Yeah, that looked like Teddy Ruxpin. We got to do the Teddy Ruxpin. Yeah, I think that was last year though. We got to do all kinds of stuff. We got to do a Picard LaForge homage, but that was a little weird because we had to make it not that dirty, because the original Picard LaForge books were naughty. So we had to it had to be PG-13. So yeah. On a level with fictional adventures. We couldn't have, like, the characters, well, they're plastic. They couldn't be making out anyway. But we couldn't do that. So we had, like, we can't do that. The uncanny, also the uncanny stuff with the Star Trek over the years. Yeah. Has been that and the other stuff. Of course, we were teenagers and didn't know what we were doing. We thought of the PL stuff. Picard LaForge. What happened with that is in the first season of Next Generation in 1987, they made LeVar Burton's character of LaForge very flamboyant. And he so much has gone on record and said, like, in the first season, they wanted my character to be gay. And so I played him that way. And they said the same thing with Andrew Robinson, who played Garrick. They wanted my character to be gay. They played him that way. And then they later retconned it. They said, no, he's not. He has... They did that to both of those guys. Only for that later to be redeemed in Lower Decks when Andrew Robinson comes back and he plays a gay version of it. So yeah. Now it's 2025 and nobody cares about, they're not freaking out. That's what I mean. They're not freaking out. They shouldn't be. It's 2025. I mean, if you're comfortable with your sexuality, it's cool. Yeah. I think they haven't done enough. Right? but yes, the Picard LaForge thing was a little homophobic, but then it evolved into something else. The joke being that Picard is basically the Picard in this other timeline falls in love with LaForge, and when the Borg assimilate Picard, they assimilate them both, him and LaForge, and they become lascivious and the cutest of Borg. Will they come up later on? And the naughty ramifications of the story. You have to infer in the story that when Q encounters the Cillian children, that he is encountering. It's not a sex thing at all. What's going on is Q is wanting to humiliate Picard. He's basically decided, Jean-Luc, I realize you don't like children. How about if I whisk you to this school for kids with learning disabilities? Because we did, because we were there. And yes, with learning disability. Yeah. Autism. Yeah, and other things as well, but mainly autism. And to go to the school and humiliate you, Picard, by conjuring these children, to be Cillians. And it was that's how it was. So we ran rampant on the ship, on the Enterprise D, and on Kirk's ship, which came to visit Elsa, because he did it to Kirk as well. Kirk and Picard got together and they met in 1988, 6 years before Star Trek Generations, in our fan films, our fictional thing, because the universes were combined. Although, as Mark's Cards or John Yeager said on many occasions on the show, the reason we did that is because he didn't know that the Next Generation, at the time, first season and second season, were set 78 years after Kirk's time. He assumed they were simply in the same universe at the same time, and it was just another ship, and that he didn't get the connection until later, and then he's all like, oh yeah, that isn't me. Yeah, by the middle of the second season, he's all, wait a minute. They wouldn't have. Couldn't have met. But yeah, so that's funny. So that's how that happened. And also early on in the first season, like early silly. Look up the early silly track. Next Generation Season 1, early silly track. Season 1, before the Neutral Zone. This is like Season 1. This is like inspired probably by that episode Conspiracy with the creatures inside Remick going like, ah, inspired by that. So we took it in another direction. We said, what's the Crodans? It's the alien Crodans. It's cooties. They have space cooties. A little bit of an AIDS thing going on there too, I think, probably. Because there was a little bit of that then. There was definitely a little bit of that. There were little jokes about that. So was the Crodans. Invades the school because these space zombies from the future from Star Trek come down and they infect us with the Zeldanian Nintendosis. It gives us either a super ambition or makes us evil and makes one of them the Libyan terrorist. Because of Back to the Future with the Libyans in it. It had nothing to do with them being Libyans or from Libya. No, it was just that this girl was named Libby that we knew, and we thought it was funny that her name was similar. And she had nothing to do with Libya at all. But yes, so at Pine Hill. She was later in the RPG, so it was fine. And she was like, oh, yeah, my character's in your story. Sure, she shows up. So that kind of thing would happen. Or we'd humiliate John Curran because there was an episode where there was a Mr. Curran flying a shuttle. His name was Curland in the episode, but we thought it was Curran. So we made fun of it. John Curran seen the episode. It had nothing to do with me. The guy's name was Curland. Just pronounced it wrong. That kind of thing. So there was a lot of foul. So yeah, we predicted the Borg. We predicted the Borg 8 months before they introduced the Borg. They were the Borg. Space zombies came down, mess with you and change you into cyborgs. The Borg. And that's also what the Libyan was too. She was kind of a cyborg. And then a holodeck creation later on, and then other thing. So naturally, when we did a First Contact spoof in Starship Locations, the role-playing game 1996, naturally, our version of First Contact was, Captain Picard of the Enterprise E has to go back in time to stop the Borg from going to Pine Hill instead of First Contact with Admiral Cochrane. Going to Pine Hill, meeting his self from the 2364, and Kirk from 2288, and all of them together in 1988. That's why they went back to 1988. And Cillian, that's how Cillian Space. And Cillian Space, interestingly enough, the kids grow up in the show. When they grow up, they get older and they grow up. They're now middle-aged admirals and stuff. I think that's interesting, that they grew up. And, so what happens to them when some get left behind? Well, we some episodes about that. We couldn't exactly follow directly the Cillian Realms books from Amazon that we put up. We couldn't directly follow them, but we could indirectly follow them. Like, we went to the Mob planet, and then we went to the Roman planet, and we went to the went to Flodi, we went to Far Out, we went to all these planets. We went to Far Out a couple of times. I went to Flodi a couple of times. But Flodi really only went when it was that Mirror Universe homage to the Chimera fan film series. And we sort of had a version of Libyan in there too. The Libyan. We called it the Elysian in the new version. Figured if we name her after a beer, it's probably a little safer than calling her Libyan. The Elysian. But yeah, the Elysians and all that. And the Planet of the Fallen Ones story, it's kind of fun is when we did that in 2023, we could reference back to, this has all been Star Trek tonight, so that's fun. This has all been, referencing in the Fallen One story several different alien groups that 700 years later evolved from the various Cillian offshoots. The Left Behind children that became adults, the other ones, the religious ones that became Valley Religious, the ones that did the TMS people became this other group, the Fallen One, Angel ones became that, the Contact ones became that. And there was like this setup for this war that was going to happen, which it did. And with the other guys. Even the zombie story from last season is part of that war that they were talking about. The zombie, the old anti-time zombie thing. We weren't going to originally show the end of that, but Mark's Cards and I discussed that. And we're like, this kind of doesn't have an ending. We didn't definitively tell the audience, okay, did they stop the Kirk and Picard zombies? Or did they let them go? Because they get to the planet and then they zap them on the planet. You could infer that, they killed them. But maybe they didn't. We should probably, there's still some other zombies out there. The fleet, we have to stop that. So we did Star Trek Destiny, but we did our version. And hope you liked it. The zombie thing. That was another thing that came up, is the LARPing troupe. It was meant to be a gay LARPing troupe. They were all playing Kirk. They're all Kirkmen. They were all introduced in the convention episode 2024. And then we went on from there. And then we got to we pulled the episode that said gay. Took some of that out. And then re-uploaded it toward the end there. To have it say, no, they're just a LARPing troupe. Because it doesn't matter what gender they are, preference they have. It makes it better because they become bad guys. So we're saying gay guys are bad guys. We're not saying gay guys were bad guys. We were saying this group of bad guys happens to be that gender preference. But it's a little iffy, so we kind of took a few lines out and then put up a disclaimer. The episode saying, oh, that was before Disneyland. We went to Disneyland this year. And 9.5 years after the last trip. Yeah, it was at 70th anniversary. I have to go back to the 75th. But anyway, so we said, okay, it's just a LARPing troupe. And then we had the characters in the next episode say, well, it's a LARPing troupe, but it doesn't matter what gender preference they had. It's simply a LARPing troupe. Yes, that's it. Yes, that had no bearing on them because it's the future. One of them literally says that to the camera. It's the future. It doesn't matter what their gender preference is. I think our story is a lot more woke and out there than they care to admit. It's funny. Yeah, I think we get away with it because we're like, oh, um, we were even nice to the Gray Tal and the other Tal. Give him something to do. Their ancestor shows up as Kellan Tall in one timeline, but not the other one. So there's the timeline. We have kind of messed up the timeline. I had to go back and fix it. But if Q is messing with it, then it's messed up anyway. And there have been some slight updates since that 14th episode. There has since been another play and another cast party. Yes. and there's since that, and there was a Disneyland trip, and so there's more information on that, and then Amanda Rumbly played. Well, she didn't play Rumbly. She just inspired me to go make a character called the Rumbly. What's fun about that character? She's a friend, but she used to be more than a friend for a little while. A friend, let's say. She said, I'm not your ex, technically. We didn't actually date. It was only that one time. Yeah, but yeah. Anyway. So Amanda was like, oh yeah, by the way, yeah, I liked that your character was, your character of me was Seska. That was funny. And also that it's Amanda Rogers from Next Generation. Yeah, I know about that. That's who that's supposed to be. It's Q. It's Amanda Q from Next Generation. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly who she's supposed to be. She's actually canon with Next Generation. There you go. Yeah, so that's who they're supposed to be. But she's also a Cillian. Yeah, she's sort of she's an amalgamation. She's like the Gabriel Agini, who is also Michael White Cloudingani, and is also Adam Giandomenico. Two of these guys from one from Junks, one from Evergreen, get combined into this alien. He's a Q as well, but he combined himself in the transporter. Similar to the Mikey Madmouth, Mike Van Dam, who became Dribble and Dorian, who appears in that one episode. So some of them had the transporter accident happen, but we fixed them later. The Borg. Yeah. You don't need to know all the names. Just know that they were out there. It was fun doing that. And we went to Disneyland. Mark's Cards and I went to Disneyland. And apparently Mr. Story doesn't want to go there because Disneyland's too woke. I don't know why. I bet if we gave him a free ticket, he'd go. But no. But yeah, I didn't think it was woke. What was woke about it? I don't know. And this woke thing is a horribly overrated woke thing. It's like, it just means be inclusive of others, and he is. So I don't get the deal, the connection there. But yeah, if you're from old Hollywood, I think he would be like not inclusive. Anyway, Silly Kelly got any more? You know I gotta chime in here somewheres. Yeah, now that you're putting this here editing together, Clint Cowpoke gotta come in here and right about in the middle of this and comment on some of the goofy Picard show stuff, right about in the middle. Now I know you took some stuff out already, but yeah, here we are on New Year's Eve. This is not a New Year's story. This is a update of Starship Chimera. Just call it that. And as I directed some of these episodes too. Yeah, so you're talking about the Libyan and the Lantos and all them guys. Basically, Cristobal Rios, Star Trek Picard, is basically Jose Mako or Ron Mako. It's basically Ron Mako. He's Lantos as well. He's who is from Pathfinder, from Cillian Space. He clearly is both of those people. That's why we did our own version of Mako. He's Ron Mako later on in Warp Core. We're like, well, we're Ron Mako. And that's who that guy's supposed to be. And that's why he goes back to 2024. That's why they sent him back, because he's a Cillian. He wasn't meant to be there. He's meant to be in the Cillian universe. And because the universe follows the course of the other shows, as well as being in the Next Generation period or in the Kirk period at the same time, you can have a show like the Section 31 too, because that's technically the 23-24 for that one, in that case. there. I know that was last year. Those two started last year, and that Section 31 came out this year, and it didn't didn't rate it as a bad review. It is not a good story, but it wasn't the worst ever. So yeah, the Snow White was worse. Anyway, so you didn't rate it the worst ever, but it was very silly track as well, including the but yeah, just me chiming in here. Also that crazy blonde lady come in there, in the story, um, in the Picard show season 3, the blonde lady. What that was going to be, because we was at GalaxyCon. The Uhura thing was inferred later on and confirmed. Uhura was going to be in that Discovery episode, but she died. So they got another lady that looked a lot like her and acted a lot like her to be the character. And we kind of made it canon that our character, Wilson Uhura, a descendant of Uhura, goes in the artifact. That was different. And but as for the blonde lady, is clearly they saw the episode with the Libyan time travel lady messing with space and time and boards and stuff in our series, and put her in Picard season 3, and had her show up as the main villainess in that doing a Rathacon thing basically again, but making her a changeling, which is remarkably similar to what we did with our changelings in our story as well, and Fearful Symmetry and all that stuff. A nod back to Fearful Symmetry. Now we should probably a real brief explain Fearful Symmetry and the Arbiter, the two scripts that real brief that we did adapt for episodes of Destinations, the season, and they were clearly aware of our stuff. But yeah, these two stories, Fearful Symmetry, of course, is a nod to the Blake poem. The Arbiter of Keptera is but the story is different. It's about the Dominion and a Dominion Vorta lady and a bunch of other characters. They are going to have a Vorta lady, partly Vorta lady in the new Academy show. That's one of our characters in there. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Captain of San Jose, by the way. You can tell. Yeah. Anyway, no, there's no live action. Just screwing around. Anyway, so Sasa. Yeah, San Jose. Yeah. Anyway, so the girl, this Vorta lady and all that now completely lost letter of combination that was attached to this. So there were in 2015, this guy was all over the internet claiming he's going to pitch for Star Trek. Long story short, he didn't end up. He was lying because it said that nobody that's not famous can pitch for Star Trek. And then chimed in about that, and that was a story. That person's idea, story, pitch, story, his script went over. It was a guy named Gemelt. We went over there and we said, well, we do like your story idea. It just doesn't belong in Star Trek. It belongs in our fan films. How about that? It's like, oh, really? Oh, it's a fan film. Your idea. Have one of our episodes be one. So even though we discovered that he was lying, and so in turn, he one of his stories, one of his characters, and some of his characters in his stories end up in Lower Decks, 2 of them. So he must have pitched something, at least to us, to pitch to them. See, they probably haven't. And the TMS people are, of course, in there too. And I was also thinking, yeah, so there's a connection there. Also, I was thinking, the character of that excitable gym rat guy from Lower Decks is clearly a Jung Swan TMS martial sportiest guy. He's probably supposed to be Jen Domenico, the famous AG. That's probably how they're supposed to be. Lothario kind of guy. Yeah, probably. That's probably who that is. Or it's Henderson. Or it's Henderson from Starcrackers, who we later meet in our series too as well. He's him and Henderson. Although Henderson was not buff, so he wasn't Henderson. No, he was Jen Domenico. Yeah, he wasn't Henderson. He was Agini. It wasn't Henderson, because Henderson was kind of out of shape. He wasn't. In this series, he's a little more athletic. But Yeah, so the girl, the Dominion girl is clearly modeled after the Florida girl from Fearful Symmetry. Adam Brown's story. Adam Brown and John Yeager story. And then there was another one called The Arbiter. The Arbiter of Kepter is what that became. Well, that's another story. These two stories were written as Star Trek spec scripts. Think about them, probably heard about that one. Like, oh, well, somebody back in the 90s, they wrote these two spec scripts. This Cal Cat guy, who then later reviewed his story, and what it was there is that there was a writing contest in the 90s for Star Trek fans could actually write for Star Trek. Star Trek fans haven't been able to write for Star Trek since 2000. You go onto the website and it says, no one may submit to any Star Trek fan stuff to us. We'll throw it out. That was in 2015 and 2016. They established the rules. So yeah, Gamel couldn't have pitched to Star Trek, but for some reason, some of that stuff ended up out there. Some of these other fan things ended up. Edris Abra's game about the tardigrade ended up part of Discovery. There was a lawsuit and settlement ending with him getting a little bit of a stipend in the final 2 seasons there. they put him in there. Yeah, so they did in fact borrow from his game. They borrowed from the Axanar, which is why they quickly made Axanar go away for a while. That fell over there. Had nothing to do with us. But that Burnett guy you mentioned. So it was fun watching it, putting this together. And yeah, so there's a lot. The new shows owe themselves again to us as well, frequently. And because it's in the same universe, so what year? The years of Picard don't quite line up because it took them 5 years to do 3 seasons, so I threw it off, just like they did with Discovery and the other ones. Seasons are shorter. Back in the day, in Next Generation, we were on TNG and DS9 and Voyager and Enterprise. You did about 26 episodes a season, and you filmed them back after back after back. You had them done. You had like a turnover of 8 days, so you had to kind of crank out a couple episodes here and air them in like a block, and they were going out. Yeah, your pitch person, story editor is not it's not related. In these newer shows, they got a lot of executive producers and a lot of extra writers, a lot of head writers. You wouldn't be the head writer. Cal Cat back in the day would have been a writer on the show, not a head writer, just the writer on the show. But Gamel wanted to be the head writer and the showrunner. He's not the showrunner. No, Berman and Braga were the showrunners back then, and currently on Picard, it was Terry Metalis on the final season. And the one thing we did complain about the current season of Picard, but last year's season now, was it's too dark. Physically, it was very dark looking. You turn up the lighting. Although the humor was different in the 80s. Humor was more, a pleasant thing. Scott, one of the characters in the church, talking about the humor and how it's evolved, showed Airplane, the classic 80s movie, to his children, and they didn't get it at all. I showed it to my slightly older niece and nephew. They got it, although Sarah didn't quite get it, but Philip thought it was funny. So yeah, don't sap people. Philip thought it was funny. And yeah, there was a scene where the younger sister of the Abby character from the main cast. Abby, there's a lot of Abbys. Okay, so this is the Woodworth one, right, from the church, and this is her sister Avery. Goes like, oh yeah, I'm a fan of Monty Python ever since way back when Monty Python fan. Mentions it at the church, and she's a teenager. She can't be on the show yet. She's only 17. But yes, yeah, and 3 years ago, those other two were only 17, so they couldn't be on the show. So that's what's going on. So now they're in their 20s, so it's fine. Anyway, so we have 5 years ago they were turned to be on the show. That's all that was about. But anyway, but this person currently is in Monty Python, and I said, yeah, I was probably the one that, Cal Cat, probably the one that corrupted the Woodworths and the Boyds by showing them Monty Python at the at that birthday party, the infamous 1998 birthday party, the best birthday party for or since, really, unless you count Disneyland 2015, which was a pretty cool birthday present, or this one, which was technically September, but it ended with the cat Kadabra passing away. So, yeah, I threw that away. I threw that whole threw it off a little bit. But no, it was still cool that we went to Disneyland. We'll definitely go again sooner than 9 years later. Hopefully in 4.5 years for the 75th. Go back to the 75th. We gotta go back. We gotta go back. Yeah. Oh yeah, by the way, Mr. Story did get that head item that he wanted to get. He wanted to get the see-through head from that person that he hadn't talked to for 5 years. And he got the head from them. We got a Back to the Future Transformer Gigawatt reissue came out. I also got myself another one. So, yeah, no new Transformers plans really, except for that car thing maybe. Nothing new there. Yeah. I think it's pretty weird. This is pretty trippy. This isn't really a New Year's special. It's just me shooting this and going on. Yeah, and noting that roughly the same age as Kevin Smith. Has he done anything recently besides the other stuff? Yeah, he kind of bungled a bunch of stuff, but we don't need to go on that this year because he hasn't done anything this year. But yeah, don't get more angsty as you get older. No, maybe crankier, curmudgeonly, sure, but not terribly angsty. Also, they've announced two of the actors that Dr. McCoy will be showing up on Strange New Worlds next season at some point. Yeah. Okay. So somebody else is going to play him. Somebody, I believe Thomas Jane is going to play him. It's kind of interesting casting. Doesn't really look like him, but okay. But none of them do. The Captain Kirk they have is too old in this case. Captain Kirk in the old Abrams movies was too young. This one's too old to be Kirk. Right from now. They have to make up their minds. They did an audiobook called of the Khan series. They need to stop with the Khan stuff. Just no more Khan. No, he's not the Joker. Stop. No more Khan. And then they have the Star Trek Scouts. Apparently just started. I did not see any of that. A baby Scouts thing. Ripping off Carter. I didn't see that. Probably have to see it. Yeah, Prodigy. Yeah, it's going up Netflix. So get it. That's another reason we're putting up an archive of our stuff just in case. You gotta pull the other stuff. It'll be on the archive. Yeah, and other stuff. Oh yeah, other fun stuff came up. If you search the AI thing on Google for Starship Locations, there's a review, an AI review of Starship Locations on there. That's awesome. Seeing that. This is what it's about. Starship Locations. Kids go on an adventure. Pine Hill is mentioned. They're in space and time and all that. Yeah, that's kind of what it is. The AI doesn't seem to realize it's a Star Trek parody, although it does say that in the finer print later on. It's a Star Trek parody. Because on the books, the Amazon books, we had to change the names around so that we could sell books without breaking copyright with they are 503. So the books are. So we can get away with that if we change all the names. You don't have Kirk, you have Quirk. You don't have Picard, you have Clerk. Lucky Clerk. You don't have, the Q, you have the Cute. That kind of thing. Yeah, they're clearly Star Trek spoofs. That's clearly what they are. The newer stories are too. And yeah, we've done a lot of them. We've done a whole lot of them. The Legacy story arc is kind of over. For us, anyway. To us, we've been doing Star Trek Legacy since the middle of Star Trek Picard Season 2. We've been doing Star Trek Legacy before they even came up with it. And of course they came up with it the same time we did. Of course. We thought of it actually earlier than they did. The Destinations, the other thing there. Of course we did. Again, yeah, it's like Paramount, just Skydance, and I guess Netflix now. Hire us. Just consultants on your next Star Trek. Also, I'd like to say a few about another Star Trek. I haven't seen recently. Doctor Trek recently. Mimichek. What happened to him? But I have seen a lot of Robert Burnett, the Axanar producer, one of the producers that left Axanar, I should say, going on about Star Trek rants and the current Star Trek, and there's been back and forth on their website about that. Not so much us; we haven't really talked to him directly. Just responding to his stuff. Yeah, and he's a little more old and a little more curmudgeonly, and a little more middle aged, a little further on. And he wants the Star Trek to go back to being kind of like Next Generation, exclusively like a semi-political thriller kind of deal, noir, adventures, go to the planet and do goofy stuff. The and there's a character in Warped Core. If it's the Warped Core series, he'd probably love that because there's that noir detective guy in there. He'd probably like that. But no, that actually wasn't inspired by him at all. That character's in the script. Actually, those were stories from the Warped Core. That was a Space Time Eye, and it had the Space Time series, series thing, alien thing going on. It was sort of extra dimensional. Different Earths were happening. Different multiverses going on. Parallel stories, loosely connected. A bit like Creepshow, but sci-fi. Basic sci-fi Creepshow. Also a bit like, it was an anthology. A bit like the grandma novels, too. Like the mom ones. We did Victoria Brown letters toward the end there, too. We got away with doing the letters. Only because we took out all the drama. So it's just the letters. The fun ones that are in there. For 3 whole movies, so we got those out. That's kind of a sequel follow-up to Blessings Bird as well. And that's fun. But anyway, back to the Robert Burnett thing. The Star Trek accent guy who worked for WB for a while. He was doing these long rants about the current Star Trek. It rubs him the wrong way. The Academy thing is embarrassing to him and a number of other people. Even the Calicat show people are kind of like, well, this Academy thing is coming out in January. We'll see. It's coming out in a couple of weeks. But yeah, 90210 in space. Yeah, but the thing is, we've been doing that. We've been doing Starfleet Academy since 2019, technically. The characters, the young people that are in it, the older ones that are in it. So we can't really say that it's going to suck because that's what we've been doing. I wouldn't be surprised if they have a planet where they go in the Academy story, where they go to the planet of the Fallen Ones. I wouldn't be surprised if there was an episode where they do that, where they go to that planet. I'd be like, okay, of course you're going to go there. Go visit that planet. I think also that a number of these shows are very much aware of us. I think they're very, very much aware of us. I think Mike McMahon at the Lord X is aware of us. Not so much the Prodigy people. Although ironically, it's weird. We met some of the Prodigy people. There was a Star Trek convention. Well, a space convention. That infamous one that we couldn't mention. It was GalaxyCon. GalaxyCon 2023. I can mention it now. There were some Prodigy people there. Some of the creator guys. But not the main people, just some of the luminaries. But we didn't meet the Lower Decks guy. But Lower Decks deliberately, that show is a silly track. It's straight up silly track. And Tawny Newson from that is now on this other show. And it's like she's Mariner from the show. And they did an episode where they found Nick Locarno. We've been over this before, but I thought I would go over again. Nick Locarno. They find Nick Locarno and Will Wheaton, or Wesley Crusher, and Cito Jackson. They do a flashback. And the characters in Lower Decks, apparently they forgot. The characters in Lower Decks take place in the 2380s. And they're basically playing themselves their own age. They're not playing younger or older. They have to be their age because it doesn't match otherwise. So they're their age. They're the age of the character. So they're the age of the character. You don't usually say a lady's age, but in this case, you kind of have to. Because Tawny Newson is over 40. Yes, let's just say she's over 40. And Will Wheaton, Wesley Crusher, and me, we are over 50. There's your problem right there. So that's the way out, Mike McMahon said in the interviews and stuff. There's a way out of that Locarno story. Mentioned some of the blogs. There's a way out of that Locarno story. Their ages don't match up. Look it up. Their ages don't match up. It couldn't have happened. Tawny Newson's character is making that up. That Planet Locarno thing. You can put it in Silly Track if you want to. So yeah. The horse's mouth. So yeah, making it up. It means that her character, Mariner, couldn't have been at the Academy when Wesley Crusher was at the Academy. As we cut back to that 1988 story. So if you figure, well, in Cillian space, it's kind of like 2360s, right? When Wesley Crusher was at the Academy, going to the Academy. Same time period. So, yeah, so it's connected. So we would know, because if we were actually in Starfleet, as Starfleet cadets, in 2365 and beyond, up to 2368 when that scene happens, we definitely would have come across Will Wheaton and Tom Paris, and we come across Tom Paris and Nick Locarno. We come across Wesley Crusher, Cedar Jaxa, and all those people. We would know them, but she wouldn't. She wouldn't. Yeah, she could have been on the Enterprise D during the Borg thing, but she would have been very young. Yes, because she would be too young to be at the Academy. Tawny Newson's character of Mariner. When Wesley Crusher was 17 or 18 at the Academy, would have been 7 years old. Yeah, I don't think that a 7-year-old little girl is going to be hanging around with Wesley Crusher and Tom Paris and Nick Locarno and Cedar Jaxa. Not a chance. They weren't in a youth group together or something. It's not going to happen. The only reason it happens on occasion, the cast at the church group, is that they're children in the youth group. But they're not going to be included in Chimera, obviously. They're too young. Yeah, they're too young. Some of them are right on the cusp of not being too young. And they were like, oh, we want to submit fan film ideas. Just the ideas. Yeah, we're not in it. We're just ideas. So some of them ended up in this season. But yeah, Newson's character, she's 43 now, and I'm 55. Yeah, and Will Wheaton's 54, and I'm like, no, we couldn't have met you at the Academy, Tommy. Sorry. Mariner. So there's a scene in the story where you're like, wait a minute. That they show up as like ethereal in the multiverse there. And yeah, and Locarno's all, I don't know you, Mariner. I wouldn't have known you at all. Not in the slightest. And Will Wheaton would be like, I kind of know you. You were a little kid in 10 Forward and stuff. The Borg thing and stuff. Yeah, you were there, but you were a little kid. Yeah, you weren't in the Academy yet. Not for another 10 years. Yeah, doesn't even match up with the show. She would have been in the Academy in the 2370s. Yeah, 10 years later, she would have been. Yeah, doesn't match up. There's the out. There's your out. So yeah, that was a consternation. Yeah. And maybe Netflix will buy the show back. No, there's no more Prodigy. We tried to save it. We tried to help, but it didn't work. We also tried to save Enterprise back then. It didn't help. But back in the day, you could actually do some stuff. Had some influence. I don't know why, but weren't famous. But now YouTube kind of sees our algorithm as famous. But yeah, once again, climbing back up from 2017 high to about half that. Well, maybe a third. 2017 was something. 2015, 2017, that was something. No. There's still a little residual left over. You can still go to... Especially if you go to Fanime. You go to Fanime and Calicat at Fanime. There's Calicat. He's right over there. Yeah, that kind of thing. Oh, there's Calicat. Yeah. March Cards actually saw that. He's like, what? Okay, that's... Yeah. How come there's so many of you and none of me? Because you're not on the show that much. He'll appear on the show a little more. He'll show up. There was actually a Mark's Cards at the last Fanime. He just wasn't there. You didn't see it. See, he had made one appearance. They wanted a copy. But yes, there was a copy of Mark's Cards. I think the funniest one was that the guy that actually was somebody from the church. That was but it was a cowpoke. That was funny. Oh, Clint Cowpoke. He's like, yeah, but I'm the original Clint Cowpoke. So, yep, I know. We're both Clint Cowpoke together. Yeah. That was bizarre. That's the Clint Cowpoke scene. There was a Silly Kelly last year. Actually, a bunch of those. Yeah. So, Silly Kelly. Oh, man. So, I don't know what this tape is other than, that's the idea. Anyway. Yeah. So there it is. There it is. Talking about things from this year and a little bit before this year. Yeah. Just because, I think that was the end of last year was the other one. Strange New Worlds was kind of a mess. And they were blaming it on the writer's strike and on some kind of mandate from on high at the studio, saying because they started to like the new administration, let's just say administration, that they had to kowtow to them somehow and make it more annoying. I don't think that's what happened. I think it was just the writer's strike. They just didn't have the same writers, and they just couldn't come up with good ideas. So the writer's strike was 2 years ago, and when they had that, they just most of the shows just suffered tremendously from the writer's strike. That's probably why that scene is in Stranger Things like that. Just whatever during the writer's strike. But yeah, but I didn't see it, so I can't complain. But yeah, that idea that the character, Alice, do you have anything more about the zombie thing? The zombie thing was originally supposed to be a one-off gag thing, but then it evolved. Those episodes I directed. Yeah. The Brady Bunch one was something we were kicking around since the beginning. Well, let's do it. Let's do one where they go on the holodeck and go and visit the Brady Bunch, because it's the same time period when they had the Brady Bunch special. It'd be funny. And Will Wheaton at back at the convention suggested that Shatner thing. It's why he didn't want to talk to Shatner, because they were still kind of having a thing going. And I thought it'd be funny if the characters actually had to, and they also kind of Picard. So they're like, the cutest Picard, the cutie one. And so they're talking, but they're from the PL universe. They're the PL versions of them. So they came back. That's what's going on. They're not so much zombies as just recreations by the silly in space. Thad Riker kind of thing. Oh yeah, the Thad Riker thing. Yeah, that was because we used one of our episodes was an idea by the Red Letter Media guys. It was Mike Stalaska and Rich Evans. They pitched an episode of our Silly Trek story, and we called it, the Valerian one? Pitch It Valerian was the title. Yeah, that's right. Pitch It Valerian. And we're like, we'll do this episode. And we'll do your episode. We're going to do Galaxy, Stardust Galaxy. You can find the saucer section on the planet Galaxy. Let me check the battery on this. We doing okay? We doing okay, I guess. Okay, we're doing okay. All right, so we're going to do Galaxy. They saw the episode, and they commented on some of the two episodes they appeared in. Going like, I don't know why I'm a Neelix, and you're a... Well, it makes sense that I'm a lore. That's kind of funny. Well, why am I a fan of Neelix for some reason? They're all, I wonder why you sound like Neelix. No, I don't. I don't sound anything like Neelix. I was like, yeah, you kind of do. Not when I'm Mr. Plinkett, I go. Then he appeared in the other one. and there was another one of their quiz things, Star Trek quiz things, and they're like, and Jay Bonham goes, "How come I'm not in any of that guy's fan films?" And we're like, "Is he though?" Let me think about it. Who would he be? Yeah. So later on in the Legacy show, we have the Thad Riker figure shows up again. Well, it's actually a slightly different one, but it's the Thad Riker figure. It shows up again and he goes, "Oh, I'm Jay Bonham. I've been here the whole time. I was playing Thad Riker in that other scene." the whole time. Yeah, I was Dad and now I'm... Okay, it works. Wrong age, but it works. It's funny. Yeah, and ironically, the Red Letter Media guys could have been at the Academy with Mariner. They would have been in the Academy in the 2370s. They're 10 years younger than us, right? She is. Yeah. They could have been. Yeah. And what's funny is even they have an example of Lower Deck of Star Trek copying them. They did a Star Trek spoof, a Discovery spoof, where they're all let's rip the hull off the ship, and then we can escape and go slower. And the very next season of Lower Decks, they tore the hull off the Cali class Cerritos and flew into the thing. And I know there's definitely connections with those people. Not only the Locarno scene, there were 2 appearances of Cal Cat. Cal Cat, tell us about this. Had I done? Okay, Lower Decks. Yes, I agree with it. Of course, I agree with myself. I'm Q. I agree with myself. I'm Q. Actually, he could be Holocat. Yeah. There you go. The question is, have you ever done your own self? Oh yes. I'm very good. Oh my. Would it be gay if you had sex with your clone? I don't know. No, space clone. I guess it would be, but it'd be kind of, yeah, it'd be kind of like screwing your own brother. You. No, anyway, so like, yeah, have, yeah, they were aware of our fan films even when they started Lower Decks, because at one point they had a Cito Jackson character as a captain of a ship in an episode. One of the other Cerrito class ships, California class ships, had a Captain Cito Jackson. She shows up and it's like a reference to the Chimera, the Ciliosaurus, and the Berkeley, or I think it was the name of the ship. Yeah. So there was a Conestoga, I think it was. Yeah, one of the other California ships, yeah. So yeah, they know us. They somehow they know. They're absolutely aware of Starship Locations. And Picard's show is too, mind you. Yes. In many ways, but we'll get to that. But only briefly here. A little Star Trek discussion on New Year's Eve. So we have, okay, we don't have much. Okay, so we don't need to go into all that. Basically, as we close this, just suffice it to say, there was an episode of Lower Decks later on where they said all the ships were coming in, including the San Jose. And the captain of the San Jose pops in, and he's like, we're ready to assist you. Yeah. Captain of the San Jose. That's where the Locarno stuff came. We want to do something else with Locarno next season. Please don't ruin it. Then we have to change ours. But it's a multiverse. You can get away with it. Yeah. all right, guys. Ha ha. Funny. Ha ha. But if you do show me again on the ship, on the Cerritos, have me pop into the Cerritos and have me get shot with a phaser, like 80 style me in your 10-4. So there was it was beginning of, yeah, phaser. Season. Yeah, it's been like 5 seasons of season 4. It's the one where they did the Tuvix episode, because of course they did. And my character walks in. It's me. Yeah. And I'm on the 10, and then their version of 10 forward. And and the zombie people walk in, and the Tuvix people, and one of them shoots me with a phaser. That was. The captain of the San Jose has just been shot. I don't know if he died. He probably just got, I think he just got stunned. I got stunned. I was fine. It was a stunt. It was cool. Yeah. Star Trek Discovery had a cow, twice. Cow with a K, and a suit cow. Cow with a K. And he looked just like me, but he wasn't. They could have hired me. I could have done that role. Let's see, yeah. They were gonna do Nichelle Nichols as the space entity in the god, but she died. That was clearly meant to be in an artifact. That was meant to be Uhura. It was meant to be Nichelle Nichols in there, but she died. Yeah, there was a number of other stuff that we've gone on with Star Trek about, but we're at 15 minutes. We've burned up all the tape, and Melissa want to just get out the other tape and keep going. I don't think we need to, though. I think I've shot about all the Star Trek. There's probably other stuff that I can think of that's Trek related, but that we thought of. We didn't ever do 4.5 Vulcans. We didn't do that. Didn't get that weird. No, it was Patton Oswalt scene. Too slow. Yes. At least it's not the new Avatar where they say bruh every other word. No. I'll see you in reviews of Starfleet Academy, I guess. Sure. Studio will still be around for that. And anything else that might come. So, welcome in 2026 and live long and prosper. Yeah. I'll be going in a moment, but first, I just remembered one of the other things. Strange New Worlds, that weird thing with the Gorn having like the Gorn having the weird Gorn baby parasite thing that doesn't make any sense, and the silly Trek version saying it should be Regulon bloodworms. I wonder if next season they will have Dr. McCoy address that, because he kind of should. He should say, like, no, those weren't real Gorn, those were the other ones. It is also funny that they referenced that they did a real quick. They referenced the fallen idol, the fallen ones in the finale with the lady turning into the god statue. That was stupid, and they're going to do a puppet one, so clearly they're aware of us. But our little action figures aren't puppets; they're action figures. It'd make more sense if it was action figures. That's dumb. They shouldn't do that. And they yeah. And the new movie should not go with Khan. Just don't do that. Don't do that anymore. Just stop. Don't do that anymore. So I agree with that Burnett guy on that one. But not on the other side. I don't think political in Star Trek works all that well unless it's brief. Yeah. Zombies, though, can be like 3 episodes. Or 4. but yeah, because zombies always work. Always a supernatural element kind of worked. Yeah, so, and I thought that ending with that lady was kind of stupid. I don't care if it's a Wonderful Life, other universe. It was dumb because it was pandering and it was trying to make you feel sorry for it. In the same way that Stranger Things, that's what they were on about Stranger Things. If they're trying to make you feel for the characters by forcing you with violins playing and harps and shit. And, it's their life that they would have had in the Nexus kind of Christmas again or something. It's like, no, that doesn't work because you didn't earn it. Pike in this last season is being a total dick. You don't like him anymore. He's annoying. And the girlfriend who's turning into a Gorn, that whole arc doesn't work at all. It didn't work in Starcrackers. There was a Starcrackers episode. Somebody was going to turn into an alien plant. We threw that episode out and didn't put that in the canon. Took it out because it's a bad idea. It's dumb. Yeah. So you're. I don't care if Steve Shives liked that scene. It was actually pandering. It wasn't good. It just wasn't good. I think he had other issues going on. That's why he liked it. That's what happened. Yeah. So now he's probably thinking about it, going like, yeah, it kind of didn't. I don't know. It didn't really work. It reminded me of Heart of Stone. So yeah. That's not a good one either. That's the Odo Cure one. We can go on a tangent about Odo Cure, but we're not going to do that. Yeah. So yes, Happy New Year. Yeah. So live long and prosper. We'll definitely do something in the next couple of months. Get it out. Do something. We'll review. Oh, that'll be fun. We'll review Academy. Yeah. Which is basically Silly Trek. I don't mind if Paul Giamatti was humming the theme to Star Trek. That's fine. Maybe it's an outtake. It probably is. Anyway, it's funny that we found our Star Trek experience pictures, which show the Calcat claw marks on the thing. Because when they did the new Picard show, when they redid that bridge for the Picard show, they did the TNG, the bridge. They got the lights a little off, but everything else is fine. They included everything else, even the Calcat marks on that set, so that the bridge that they tore down. There were they built two bridges for the Star Trek experience. They tore down one bridge, took it away, and put in the Borg adventure in place of it. Now that one bridge that they tore down and packed away is the bridge they used. Because I have the picture. There on the thing is the sticker. Down there near a captain's thing on the counselor's chair. Calcat. Right there. Holy crap. There it is. And you look at a Picard show and all where they did the high def 4K and the codas and Will walk around on the set. Michael Cuda and Denise and Will Wheaton walk around on the set on that beautiful new bridge that they built. Right on that counselor chair. Right there. Calcat. They don't know who put it there. If it was one of the writers, guys, put it there. That's right off the experience. I was like, wow, that's awesome. That's good. That's a good one there. There's one on the helm, too. That was there, too. There are two. So that's the bridge they had to work with. That they took the pictures of. Oh, it's there. It must be one of the guys. Just put it on there. So, yeah, I suppose if they redid the Bajoran orb, they would have to include the Bajoran names. Bear story. It was also written in Bajoran, but it was also written in English. You didn't know that, but there's English next to it. Yeah. Yeah. So that lady was the Libyan. That lady, the shapeshifter, was a version of the Elysian, the Libyan, the Cillian lady. The Picard story, absolutely. The thing that the shapeshifters were doing with the Borg, I thought for sure they were going to include those conspiracy aliens, the bluegills. They were going to, but they changed their mind and made it the Borg. They were going to do the bluegills. They couldn't get on board with that one because they couldn't get the other guy that did the bluegill stories, the David Gerald thing together. It was going to be the bluegills. And it kind of wouldn't have worked anyway if it was the bluegills. But it could be the bluegills that are affecting those Gorn. That could be those guys. Maybe even Gorn doing that stuff. It probably won't do that, though. It's the bloodworms. It's got to be the regular bloodworms. Yeah. And it is true that David Gerald, the Trouble with Tribbles guy, I've seen him twice at conventions. Now 3 times, I think. Yeah, 3 times. Not only saw our stuff, he liked it. Didn't like Discovery, though. Said they didn't do it right. Yeah. But he did see some of our stuff, and he said, okay, that's funny, because there was the Tribble and all that. He couldn't have met the Tribble Queen yet, but we told him about it. So, okay, that's funny. If they're Playmates figures and she's going to be the queen next to it, bought the Tribble from him. Yeah, that's going to be funny. That's going to be very funny. You need to do that. but yes, it was very funny. I hope he watched it and had fun with it. But yeah, we used his Tribble's reunion teleplay thing as part of the story of the destination, the Tribble episodes, Strange Worlds. So, not the Disney one, but our version of Strange Worlds. Anyway, that's Kelly Clappo here, breaking into the story to tell you all about stuff that you forgot to put on the story. Now that it's in the story, just going from there. Well, the Kyle Cat mark. It was like a little sticker said Cal Cat. Right there. Cal Cat. Will Wheaton knew. He knew who it was. Yeah. Like that early Ready Room episode. So there's a fan story out there. So one of the fans created a story about me and the Traveler. It's canon. That's what he said. I did the Traveler. The Traveler and I were lovers. No, Wesley, that is. I never going to the Traveler. Maybe the female shapeshifter. She can turn into anything, you know. And they know what they call him, Clint Cowpoke. Also, I do remember that time there was another Cowpoke there, and the Teddy Ruxpin episode. That was great. And there was a preamble to that because there was a fanime where we did that, lugged around that Teddy Ruxpin, and the Teddy Ruxpin came up in popular culture mentioned last Sunday. That kid group, and Scott Boyd, the gamer guy, now at DC, doing something over there at DC. Used to be on Star Trek Online. He was asking about what kind of 80s stuff, what kind of stuff you still had as a kid out there. From the 80s, in the audience, from the adults in the audience. And he mentioned some Indiana Jones stuff he had, and I said, I still have my Teddy Ruxpin. He's like, I don't doubt you do. We probably do still have that Teddy Ruxpin. See that, Teddy? Yeah. You probably do have that Teddy. I do. He's in a box somewhere. But yeah. He's still there. All the stuff he's got packed away there. Stuffy thing. Yeah. Well, I got to be getting back to the bridge of my ship because I suspect the first officer is probably making out with that helmsman again, and there's probably all kind of kinky hanky panky going on there without me there, and darn it, I want to join him. So and I did cut some stuff out about another show. Didn't need to be in there. Yeah, it just didn't. But yeah, the Star Wars and the ships, you can keep that in there. Yeah, we're not going to do any comparisons with the Star Wars ships. I just put it in here. This ain't a New Year's special. This is just goofing around. And no, there isn't a bridge. There isn't some kind of secret plan. They're not building a new live-action starship set. I'm just dressed like the captain. Sad to say, but I do remember that on an episode, yeah. Well, and clearly Lower Decks is a multiverse, so you can do whatever you want with the Locarno thing. Yeah, they just did that because they wanted to say your fan film can't be happening in the Star Trek universe. To which I say, well, then Lower Decks isn't technically the Star Trek universe, is it? Oh, neither of them. So, come on, just hire us. Come on, just hire us. Do it. Consultants on Star Trek. Let's do it. Can't do any worse. They already have an audiobook of Khan, because Khan again. Guys, stop with the Khan stuff. Just you don't need to do that anymore. No Khan. He done. He's not the Joker. He's, if anybody's the Joker, it's Q to Picard. He done that right. I was just watching. With the download thing, ramble. I was just watching, again, the Chimera movie from 2019. That one scene that nails the Next Generation and DS9 and Voyager in one scene and outdoes with action figures on a set with lights going under a shiny table. The table's still in the side yard. But yeah, the table's still around. Shiny table, there's lights on the outside, lights on the backside. You've got SAP 1 Productions crew on the set doing the lights so that it looks cool. Yeah, it was Sarah and Philip that was on the lights. Mainly Sarah. And it was on the lights. Back then they were young. And they're in the background and goes, shine the light up through here, shine it over there. And the characters are on this thing. Q calls to them when they all pull them to the Voyager. And the overlords are after them. They're these aliens that are... Basically, that lady was an overlord, too. That lady in the Voyager episode. In the Picard episode. So basically, she's got this overlord thing. So the Q takes them said, oh, something to the effect of, Oh, Kathy, the cornfield you saw was a mere trifle. Nothing compared to what you were about to see. All of you are about to see it. And I will take you there, and we will escape the overlords through this wormhole. And they mention the wormhole, and they go, poof, and then they're in the Q continuum. The actual, well, as Playmates action figures, but the Q continuum. They put them in the Q continuum because they could. Some of the sets were from one of our, it was a recent play, and we used some of the set pieces in there, threw them in the background, shiny set pieces from a VBS that happened that time period. And it was great. It was synergy. That scene is still awesome. It's like, these are Playmates action figures, but it looks really good. Oh, gosh, I'm real proud of that scene. I love it. And they're in the continuum. They're like, are we dead? Oh, I think you're dead, Jean-Luc. But we're in the continuum. You're okay. Oh no. Well, then Worf says is immortalized, good day to live. Yes, and then they're going to fight the overlords that are coming. All the effects. And used, like, it was great. It's just really, really cool looking. And we did this particular scene. They have not done that on any of the Picard stuff. In this particular, they tried with the artifact in Discovery. They tried to kind of emulate the continuum inside the artifact. Kind of works, kind of doesn't. Just for ramble a little bit. But no, ours is still better. This fan film. This fan film, it did take us 12 years to make, but the scene didn't take 12 years to make. That scene took 2 nights to make, and it's great. I did this in 2019. I was on the set. Or late 2018, early 2019 on the set. And it's like, you guys should have been able to do that. You Star Trek guys should be able to do that. The Q continuum. It's what the fans wanted. Show the Q continuum. Q's greatest test of Picard is the Destiny device story. That whole story. The Destiny device. Now, I launched the series, that pilot, those 3 50-minute episodes. Originally the script was a 90-minute script, but it came out as 3 50-minute episodes. It was a 90-minute script. And the first line was done by the Kirk God, by Brian Story. In 2006, we kept the footage. Well, another thing to thank then executive producer Victoria Brown for Mother, having saved a version of the movie because the other version was lost with the other computer. We had saved a version of the movie on a disc, on a CD disc, and also on her laptop. And we had a lower version and high def version on the laptop. So, saved the movie that had been sitting around for like a decade because we hadn't gotten around to finishing it. And pulled out the movie and said, 2/3 of this movie's done. All we got to do is do the last third between 2017 and 2019. Let's do it. It was meant to be for the 40th anniversary. It ended up being the 50th, 53rd. But yeah, now it's coming up on the 60th. So they better come up with something. Come on, guys. Not the con. Do something else. How about a Q test in the continuum and show that? How about that? Star Trek Legacy, the movie. The continuum, yeah. Be an ethereal and trippy and universe and stuff. It'll be great. Yeah, how about that? I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm just saying, because you guys keep predicting it. Anyway, so better get over there before the crew starts doinking itself. They do that often. Without me. Darn it. Yeah, I did get blasted with a phaser, though. It was funny. It was a stunt. I was on stunt. Yee-hoo! There's Clint Cowpoke. Breaking into the action to tell you all about stuff. Right about in the middle of Yippers. Happy 2026. Long and prosper. I guess I'm going to you put me in the middle of it somewhere. It's funny. Doesn't need to be in chronological order. It's funny if I'm just sort of there. And all the other stuff. Yeah, they've been coming up with our stuff for years. Yeah. Yeah, well, at least they got around to doing one of the Fuller stories. That's kind of what Section 31 was a ripoff of, a little bit. Other part of Discovery, yeah. They're doing some of the Fuller stuff. Brian Fuller is the one that pitched Discovery in the first place. Yeah. And then did them dirty, them in the story, two trans characters. They really didn't have them do anything. They couldn't think of what to do with them. And granted, we had trans characters in ours and couldn't really figure out what to do with them either. Well, once you say they're there, then they're there, and it's not shocking. It's not supposed to be, but yeah, that's kind of a problem. Ooh, and then it's funny that some of the other ones come back later, and as they got to be 21, 22, and 23, and they're like, some of the people that inspired it, see, they're like, well, my character's actually going to be doing this in college, and she's going to graduate. And I'm going to do this other thing, and my character's actually the other girl, and it's great. And then one of them got married, so I was like, that's I'm going to have to leave the show. So, yeah, obviously, well, yeah, leave the show. That's all right. But yeah, the other two are still there. Yeah. It doesn't matter if the character isn't in medical school or a Starfleet doctor. The other one is. So, or it doesn't matter if it's just the helmsman or not. It doesn't matter if the other Dax does this or that, or it could be the other one. Doesn't matter. It's a multiverse, right? Yeah, do whatever you want. Yeah, enjoy the multiverse. So I'm sure we'll come up with something. We would get cracking on that Carta 2 story, and I think that could be interesting. Or maybe a Star Trek meets the Transformers. Haven't done one of those in a couple of years. Could think of something. Wouldn't be Carta meets the Transformers. Star Trek. That'd be no. Yeah, there was going to be a Carta meets the Star Trek, but we decided that didn't. In the Brady Bunch one, decided that was just too much. So they're just robots and androids and zombies and stuff. Yeah. As for any anecdotes on the show, I don't know if I've got any extra ones. I don't know if I do. Nope, I don't think so. I don't think I have anything extra. Anyway. I'm going to get it going now. Oh my God, they're having a sex orgy here. Without me. Yee-hoo. Wait a minute. You can get it. Darn. So this is Calicat. The Calicats are on New Year's Day, 2026. I thought to just add a few extra commentaries, mentions, and things. Bringing this update up to January 2026. So just change the header and change the ending so that it's mainly an update from of 2025 anyway. You can either change the header or add this coda. Add a coda. That's it. Yeah. Just thought to mention that to clarify. I'm always doing clarifications on some of that. The last season, 2025, was also the season of the Dewick character, the Vanessa Dewick character. Heavily present in the youth group stuff like Mrs. Dewick, and inspiration for the LARPing Troop season, actually, more so than Mr. Story, although Mr. Story was also behind the scenes there. Brian Story was also there. I mentioned him too. Of course. Yeah, behind the scenes, that one as well. More so than blogs from Robert Burnett, who basically, yeah, we don't know Robert Burnett. There were a couple of Brian Story meetings, textings, stuff like that, meetings to see what's going on. So we did Canary Space and the Vanguard Space, and then Warped Cores, Canary Space, then Advanced Guard and Warped Cores. I think the Advanced Guard title was actually not Dan that came up with it. I think it was sort of like, it just came as a synergy, like, okay, it's more of just kind of, it was already assumed. He wasn't really involved in, executive producer wasn't really involved in the creation of the title. kind of said it was. No, it was just that it was already assumed that's what it's going to be called. So went with it. Yeah, the SAP1 Productions people were not really in there either, but they were back in the day. They not to be confused with other actual productions. It was just the family members. Let's clarify that. The action figure of Kimchi from the Starcrackers story was chosen as to be redubbed as the Vod Duik character, but it's still Kimchi, which is interesting. Does that mean that Vod Duik was playing Kimchi in Space Vanguards? No, she was not. She was not in this one either. We got the MC Kim plays herself and her daughter in the story because Vod Duik had moved. Vod Duik actually, the character, the real Duik, the one of the behind the scenes people, moved with her family in early October, before the series even began doing the production. I think late September, early October, and there was a dance party. There was a party, so that again Amanda wasn't invited to. And then we set up this whole party arc thing. This party arc thing, and she's annoyed about other things, but not that. Later on, yeah. So let's clarify that too. What was that about? They were in on it basically. It wasn't that big a deal in terms of the last year, a year ago, the party story. That was just Calicat doing a thing, going, well, it would be funny if this happened. The thing that annoyed the writer, the Brazil trip story, the thing that annoyed her was the Brazil trip itself, not the party. The party thing was, she knew she wasn't going to be at a cast party for a play she's not in. That's ludicrous. Yeah, so yeah, that wasn't an issue. That was a crossover with On Location Missions, yet another fan film journal, of which a year ago, they wasn't picked up. So yeah, you can't have them all. But we were able to do the Star Trek stuff instead because that's okay. We don't need to have the main people in that. Let's just do that. Yeah, we can have just Calicat doing all the voices. MC Kim included, who isn't really anybody other than Calicat with his voice pitch meant, obviously. And we had we had even some characters inspired by some of the youth. There's a Kirk figure who has like David Bowie eyes. It was a green but David Bowie eyes. I'm sorry about one of the youth up here, but we can't have the youth in the story, obviously, and there are no youth in the story. But that character's paint job was inspired by it. That's fine. Some of the other ones, the other ones, actually, the elements of some of the scenes from the part where the Woods characters in the story have a talk with the Cal Hazel character in the story were reminiscent of actual conversations, but not directly. And the joke there, the witticism there was, there's a Godfather quote goofy thing going on, and they're like, okay, well, it applies to the older Woods girl, the Abby W character, who went off and got married. It doesn't apply to her little sister. So the joke was that it doesn't apply to the little sister. That's all that was. Yeah, she's not old enough to be in it yet. But she's around, not old enough to be in it yet. And probably wouldn't really be, but maybe a little bit. I don't know. We'll see whether she gets in the Starfleet Academy at some point. Also, to add to the confusion, Emma, the Emma character, the expression for emoji, is in the medical field. It's a medical technician. Yeah, she's gonna be that. So it's kind of like Star Trek. So they changed that. But also the other Abby, the one that's not the engineer, the one that got married. The other Abby, she just graduated as well. So she's from the academy, from college, in medical technologies. So they would both technically not be on the bridge. They would be in the sick bay. But that's fine. The real character doesn't have to be the other one, as they both pointed out. We don't have to be on the bridge. I mean, our character doesn't have to be us. You know, yeah, it's fine. Yeah. Also they toned down we kind of copped out, toned down the other stuff, because I don't know if YouTube necessarily really banned the channels so much as there were probably trolls that went after the LARPing troop story early on there and had to be reposted in September. Now it's fine. So there was trolls that didn't like it. It wasn't us. It was some trolls. We could have left it up. Just did, whatever. But the other version's still there. The other version of that we re-released the Blessings Deferred one too, and also an archive, the old one, at least twice. And the version of the mom letters as a similar to that was the last thing we did, and that's just on the holodeck, and they're reading letters. You don't need to treat that as canon with the Star Trek stories at all. If you want, you can just ignore them. I mean, it's interesting to look at, the letters with all the drama taken out. That's fun. So the LARPing troop was not based on anybody. It was a joke from back in the convention episode. I went through the episode guide just now to see what the episode, which you'll never see, the episode guide, which has all the stuff written down, and it's like yeah, this all connected, going back to the fallen ones. It was all of this story arc. The one timeline goes to 2413, and then they go back and there's this Q War with the Zombies that's in there. So it's part of the if you watch the Fallen Ones, we had an idea. Unlike the Game of Thrones people, who didn't have a final book with the original Game of Thrones guys, and unlike the Lost Ending people, where they didn't have an ending there either, they just chose a sideways universe. We were spoofing the sideways universe. We're basically we'll do some sideways universe stuff with some of our other stuff, Canary Space and Vanguards and Space-Time, but it'll all connect. Unlike Lost, unlike the end of the X-Files, where then they made a later series, we'll connect them. And there'll be this weird tenuous connection between, and it is tenuous, it is kind of a thread, to the other stuff. And it'll connect. And you'll be able to see, that goes with that, and that goes with that. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. You could assume that, the Canary Space story is connected with that Distant Destinies episode written during the writer's strike. You can the Vanguards is connected to the Missy and Lattori stories. It's in that universe, which means that the other one, the Space Core thing, the Warp Core, is not connected to that, but it's one of the other universes connected to the Space Zombies, to the Valley Religious, to another universe where it's the church people. And then they're in there. Scott Boyd, who we recently met with recently, also kind of confirmed that indirectly, not directly. Their fan film was fun, basically. It's funny that I appeared as a Scotty. Yeah. That's funny. But then later in O'Brien, that makes a little more sense. He said O'Brien. Even though I think that guy's Irish. But there's not a large contingent of people going, we like our characters in your fan film. And there isn't a large contingent that's saying they don't. It's just that there really is no response on YouTube about that either way, but there's always new stories, they put a character based on her in there with her permission. One of the few that is with the permission. Brian was changed to that. Emoji changed that. Emoji is Emma, obviously. That's fine. The other Abby is Abby Kurtz. Fine, that's great. The Hertzman's Kurtz. The Katie Kurt showing up. That's permission. Yeah, she knew. The Jessica Woodworth's Jessica Woods character in there. Yeah, that's fine. Curtis, not too interested in being in there. But if he was, he said he'd be a Klingon if he appeared. I'm a Klingon. Yes. But no, that's okay. You don't need to include me. Just so our real names aren't in there. That's a spoof of our name, Woods. That's fine. It's innocent enough. It just weren't on that weird Picard LaForge one where they're like, yeah, that was a little strange. It was a little off. Yeah. Ironically, the Duiks are conservative and probably wouldn't like the suggestion that some of the characters are, yeah, a little gay. They probably wouldn't like that, but their character's not supposed to be. Although from that dance party, are you sure they're not just a little bit, a metro, just a little bit? But they kind of acted that way, especially the ladies at that dance party. Wow, it's pretty impressive. Next level dancing. It was almost a little Mbada in parts, but not really. Almost. They got a little drunk, but yeah. But not our main characters. The ones who were on their way out, they said, "Hey, let loose. Let's act crazy." So they did, and yeah, it wasn't. That's a party Amanda missed because she wasn't invited to that. The Duiks could have invited her. Yeah, that's fine. Emma did not go to that. She wasn't there. Abby wasn't there. The other Abby wasn't there. They didn't go. They didn't go to that. Even though Emma knew them, it didn't go. It's fine. Yeah. So yeah, there's three Abbies actually. One of the Abbies is too young to be in any of the stories. There's three. The two older ones are in their 20s, and Emma's in her 20s. But yeah, at the beginning of the series, it was like, oh, they were just barely in their 20s, so it's like, oh, we can't really, it's a little weird. But yeah, it's just because we couldn't think of other characters to be in the story. It was weird that a bunch of middle-aged people were running around in spacesuits acting like they're in Star Trek. And we thought, well, we need to include new people, another generation. We'd have legacy in there. It's always been, legacy's been the DNA of this whole thing, whole time. Even before the Picard show was even it started, and we started making this in like 2019. Picard show wasn't even a thing yet. 2020, the other one, we had to comment on it. And then Red Letter Media did a comment thing. It was a long diatribe about a recent Red Letter Media, and we completely cut that out of this special last night. It didn't need to be in there because it wasn't about Star Trek. Them having characters, yes, that's about Star Trek, but the rest of it wasn't about Star Trek. You keep this stuff about other stranger things need to be in there. It didn't need to be in there. Wasn't a thing. It was. They were tonally inaccurate, but you might think it goes a little too forward, and that's why we pulled it back to 2403 for the zombie stories. It's 2403. It's part of the multiverse. It happened. And the zombie thing. The zombie thing is basically the Star Trek Borg invasion of the Federation. That's what it is. It's connected to, it's connected to what's left of the people that were at Star Trek Online before they left. So they left that. So that's in there too. It's a little bit Star Trek Online. So that's the Borg invading the Federation. It's also the Bloodworms and the Bluegills story arc that Picard show didn't do. So that was in there. The Regulon Bloodworms and got together with the Zeldanian Nintendosis, made the board there, or a different kind of the Borg, and went there from there. The Zeldanian Nintendosis being that in another timeline created the Picard the Forge, in another timeline created all these other spin-off universes and multiverses, and it all kind of makes sense. Go through the whole thing, it makes sense. If we do, we're going to do more. We can't stop. We've got to do more. There's a 60th anniversary in less than a year, and of course, we know they're not going to hire us because it's too easy for them to just rip us off. Yes, Andy, we're over there at. As for your Hail Mary movie, isn't that kind of a ripoff of Canary Space? Just saying, kind of. Yeah, we're famous. No. But no, you can have that story. We didn't want to use that one. Although the Canary Space story, if you think about it, is basically a very Asimovian, very Clarkian, very time period. So that's fun. It's hard science fiction, but with some jokes. The Vanguard's one was more comedy with space elements, more of a space precinct in space kind of riff. Firefly like too. with a lot of their descendants. Mark's Cards was not all about the descendants of everybody in their kind of story arc, but some of the other stuff kind of had to be. So yeah, there had to be like, okay, when Henderson shows up and whatever. I thought it was fun that they play with that, and that there's like a weird sort of duplicate crossover with the TMS affair story and all that. There's a couple of those, but there was just one in this one. And there's the mother appears and there's the other lady. It's the other lady the whole time. And the idea that the last name Henderson, they just got it wrong in the Cillian space, maybe on purpose. It's like, oh yeah. Yeah, and then also last night the mention of the gym rat guy on lower decks. We thought years ago was basically acts like Henderson, but physically is a Guinea. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, physically is a Guinea. Gym rat. Yeah. Also Tendi is in personality is Sandra Talisman or Sandy Gaytop, Jung Swan, very obviously like that character. Yeah, and Sylvia Tilly over there in Discovery is basically Swan Carey from On Location. It's literally, I don't know where they got that character from. They stole it right out of our stories, put it on the screen, and she has a personality of, again, Sandra Talisman a little bit, but it's fine. They literally cribbed that from another version of the show. I don't know how they got that. That's not even us, technically. That's the roommates' daughter. How did they? She's not even in Silly Trek. So how did that happen? I'm not in it. There's not even a cameo of that girl in there. Same generation as Philip, Sarah. But yeah, she's a little bit older than the other ones. But yeah, she's not in it. And they'd say, "What about the other guy? There's another roommate. Why isn't he in this? He doesn't want to be. He doesn't want to do it. So he don't want to do it. It's not that he doesn't. Yeah, he just doesn't want to do it. Didn't want to do the Transformer one either. But there's a lot of a lot of conversations about the Transformer stuff. Maybe our next thing will be a Transformer thing, just to even out the beginning of this year. But I haven't written anything. So the Duix, you mentioned the Duix, the Kimchi. Also Young Sol being changed to Orange Claw because Young Sol is the name of a band. So we had to change the name to Orange Claw, and that's a cool name for a Klingon anyway. And maybe Woodworth, or Woods, Mr. Woods, has been here the whole time. Orange Claw. Yeah, he's been here the whole time. Yeah, what if he's Orange Claw? That kind of would make sense. He's been playing here in Orange Claw. Oh, he's right over there. Hello. Does that make Alexander one of the Hertzmans? Yes. It's the son. No, it wouldn't. Would it though? Would it though? No, I'm not going to say that he is, but Orange Claw could totally be what Mr. Woods. But yes, he's not. He's not, but he could be. And so, he's probably more like Alexander, actually. I don't know. It's not important. So yeah, that's my treatise on these names that are confusing. They're confusing because we had to change them. You don't necessarily want to use it like when you do your fan films and your shipping fiction, you don't necessarily want to include actual people you know necessarily, because that's not a good idea. What if they don't like it? Only include them with their permission. Yeah. I think it'd be like them coming up and going like, I would be better as a Miles O'Brien than a Scotty. It's just that's funnier. Oh yeah, I guess it would be. Would you be confused with that again? No, not really. Jim took it on. He hadn't been around since 2017. I don't think he's going to care. I don't think so. No. I mean, Cal the Cat has been Hold the Cat and 3 other robots and T. And T's not too. Not DJ. Now he approves too. He's like, yeah. Why did my character get turned into a zombie and killed in this season? That's messed up. But, yeah, it's funny, but it's messed up. If they rebuild him, he's a robot, so I guess put him back together. Yeah, they'll rebuild him. So he was a teenager around. He's in the 20s as well. But he was like, oh, yeah. I don't mind, though. I don't care. Either way. Well, yeah, as long as I didn't kiss any dudes or anything. Okay. It'd be a little weird. But yeah. As for the Picard the Forge thing, it could be canon. And Wesley and the Traveler could be canon. So that is my little screed here on the first about the characters. Paying homage and saying, oh yeah, I'm paying homage to these guys. We have to acknowledge that, yeah, there was some other the role-playing game continued indirectly through these discussions with the adult cast at other games and retreats and things and other things, and it didn't continue directly as a role-playing game, but it continued more as a discussions with these characters from the church that keep popping up and wanting to be in something or other. The youth eagerly going, the descendants of them going, oh, we want to be in it. No, you can't be in it yet. Can't. We'll get in trouble. Nope, you can't be in it yet. I want to get in trouble. Yeah. I want to be in it. But yes, because we keep hearing the name that sounds like us, and it's not. It's somebody else. No, it's not you. It would be a Star Trek story. Well, they can enjoy the new Star Trek show, Star Trek Scouts, Star Trek Babies. They can enjoy that. If they want to. Or the Academy story that's coming out. They can enjoy that too. So, Academy is just a couple of weeks away, the Star Trek Academy. Which is basically Silly Trek with Robert Picardo in it. And Paul Giamatti. And that Sylvia Tilly character I mentioned will have a cameo there. I'm sure there'll be a Cal appearance. I didn't go to Canada. They're just going to use that other guy. That looks like me. I'm sure he's going to make an appearance. They ought to just hire me. I could play the Mirror Universe version. See, unlike in Zombieland 2, in which they're all, you know how Sarah and Eisenberg kind of look alike? Let's do a Sarah and Eisenberg and they're clones and they show up like interdimensionally. And they're all, and the other guy's all like, nah, I don't want to do that. So they had to like get somebody else that kind of like get Header or somebody else look like him. Like, no, if they want me to be on Star Trek playing Cal Cat, I will do it. You give me a plane ticket, I will come up there, I will be in Star Trek. I'll do it. You won't. You likely won't call me, but there's my resume. Vast fan film series of 40 episodes of new Star Trek for fans out there. From Chimera to Starship Locations to Legacy. Yeah, this channel should get viral views, and now with the connection to this other archive that's archiving, it's us. We're archiving our own stuff. Hopefully, we'll get more play. We used to have it. 2017, 2018, we had there were people, us, Pandemic kind of killed the whole story arc, but we kept doing it because we're like in house. Like, oh, yeah, the pandemic was not a problem. We had. In that we were indoors all the time, and we figured like, oh, we'll just Zoom everything and do multiple Transformers and Star Trek fan films. Like we'll do more than anyone has ever done before. And yeah, like that Spectre guy, hold my beer, ties it in. I don't even drink beer, but that's a joke. It's like I will do 40 hours of it. It's like no other fan film. The grandfather of Transformers fan films. And likely the OC type autistic father of Star Trek fan films with Playmates figures as well, because holy, the Godfather, oh that'd be cool. The Godfather of Star Trek Playmates fan films, who actually inspired Playmates to bring some of them back. I say bring them all back. I want a box set of TNG people, original Star Trek again, Voyager, and all the. Yeah, don't have it end with you lose your license for other stuff. No, keep doing those action figures because fans will buy them. That's other group doing it. Anyway, that's a tangent on another level. Let's enjoy the future of wherever we end up, where the studio ends up. Something will happen. But yeah, Skydance didn't buy us out. Netflix didn't buy us out. It's not that. WWB. We're not going to do a hostile takeover of Paramount. That's okay. I don't want it. As a being possible. Yeah. If we're not well-to-do, we don't have that kind of money. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. Happy New Year. Live long and prosper.